I think this is what we can
I think you're correct.
expect, so we can call this meeting to order. This is a meeting of the CIP committee on November 13th at 5:30 PM. And I'm just gonna count how many people are on this board. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8,
Do we have 6 here?
9,
9.
and me. So, but I did get an email from Karen Ann today that she believes should resign because she's not able to make a lot of
Alright.
meetings. So I don't know if she counts today or not.
I believe she counts as towards the total number
Mhm.
anyways. Until my office gets a letter from her resign, or
Right.
not my
the
office, the
clerk.
town clerk gets a letter from her, resigning.
So 9, so a simple majority is, 5.
5, and we
people.
got 6.
Yeah, okay,
We're
so
good.
regardless, we can move on. We're not gonna have, Donna, and we're not gonna have Karen Ann. But, I'm not sure about Stu Cobb. I don't see him.
He's probably at that fire.
Oh,
Yes,
there's a fire?
yes, out on 77 Common Road, they have a brush fire.
Oh, shoot.
Started at 4:15, we got the call.
Is that down at the end of the road?
Yeah,
Oh.
Common Road's a dead end, but then it comes out and
Yeah,
it's like non-existence and then it starts again.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah,
That's
Hello,
screwed me
Common
up for a
Roads.
long time.
Common
That's-
Road is common in town.
that's probably where he is. Well, I just want to welcome Jim and Melissa. Thank you for joining us online. And I was gonna say present to speak, but we don't have anyone present to speak who isn't on the board. So,
Just a quick question, moving back one spot, do you want me to ask Karen Ann to submit a letter, or do you want to do that?
I can do that.
All right.
I'll take her email that she wrote to me, copy you and the town
Alright.
clerk and tell her how it works.
All right, beautiful. Thank you.
Could I just ask, we have 4 of how many on the,
We're 6 of 9 right now,
We're 6 of 9.
because Jim and Melissa are on the
Right.
board, so there's.
right, okay. So are you a member or ex officio?
I'm a member.
Okay,
This is one of
6
those
of
boards
9.
where I'm an actual member instead of an ex officio member.
I get so confused.
Oh, you?
Yeah. And then, so the first thing on our agenda is board member terms and positions, because we're here in November and, we do. This is the time of year where, number one, Donna sends out the requests for the people to send in submissions. And, 2, there's usually an election that has just or every other year there's an election where there's all new people that automatically get appointed to the board by whoever's first selectman, for example. And then there's the rest of us. So I'm just gonna hold on one second. I'm trying to open up my, the thing about the CIP committee.
I should have probably got a list from.
Can you have the date that the minutes were sent out?
So I'm just gonna
Forward those if you'd like.
summarize
Yeah,
it.
great.
So,
Okay,
so
thanks.
my term expires in 2025, at the end of November. Stu's also. Karen Ann was expiring at the end, December of 2026. And the one we knew about that was vacant expires in 2026. Jim's expires 2026. Melissa and Jen, both of yours expire on December 1st of 2024.
What?
Yeah. So you guys, just kidding. So the Board of Selectmen need to reappoint you. So I think when you reappoint them, you should try to appoint 2 more people.
Yes. So who is it that needs to
Yeah,
report?
I'm confused too.
Okay.
It's
so-
Jen?
Could we just go through the whole list again?
Yeah, Okay,
Let's start with the 2024.
so it's on the website, so it's, so
Oh.
me and Stu.
Yep.
Expire in 2025, so we have a whole more year left.
Okay,
Karen Ann and the seat that's vacant right now, and Jim, the three of them expire in 2026. And then Melissa and Jen expire in 2024. Now Pete is just whoever's first selectman is in seat number 8. And Steph, you are on as the Board of Finance representative. And I think
I didn't have a,
you don't have, there's not really an end date for you. You're just,
it was originally, something like, it was, either 25 or 26. It wasn't immediate, I don't think. but-
so because you had Jim's seat, right? You had the seat that Jim was.
Oh, yeah, well, that would mean that's sooner rather than later, isn't it?
That's the 20, yeah. But that just,
26, yeah, 2026.
so, yeah, but I think
I think Jim had a regular seat. And
No,
then
he
there's
did.
our finance seat, right?
So Steph
No.
had a regular seat.
Correct.
I had a regular seat.
Oh,
and
this
then-
Jim,
Yeah,
I
and
keep
then
thinking
when
Buick,
you,
sorry, Jim.
when you rose to power,
Rose to power.
I needed to.
Like a
We,
phoenix.
the Board of Finance needed a representative, so I took that, but it's fuzzy about whether I keep my term dates from before, which would be 2026, or if I needed one assigned or not, or whenever
I think that
you guys get sick of me.
No, I think.
Were you holding 2 positions, a regular position and a Board of Finance position?
No,
Okay.
no, I was just holding a regular position that I was
Right.
appointed to, that had the term expired in 2026.
Okay,
And then when you left and they appointed me, then that just put me as a Board of Finance, changed my
okay,
description on this group as the Board of Finance designate.
all right.
Yeah, so I guess the question is
And Jim was put in my,
we haven't annually changed who the designate is.
okay.
It's just like the Board of Finance picked you. I think.
Board
Yeah,
of
how long
Finance-
did you do it, Pete, when you were doing it? Did you have?
I was on as a regular CIP member. I think I was only doing it for a year, but then it's because of the election, not because
Yeah.
of anything else. And I think what has traditionally happened, and I am fully prepared to be corrected on this, the Board of Finance position goes for 2 years because the Board of Finance changes every 2 years.
That's what I think too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you're on until next November.
Yeah,
You and I.
November.
So I lost a year in the deal. Okay.
Well,
You
not
did.
even a year.
Yeah,
Believe me, if you wanna come back.
no, it's
No,
okay,
because you were in Jim's seat, which ended in 26, which is when.
which will end in 26, which is 2
Yeah.
years from now, 25 is 1 year.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
25.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That's okay, that'll work, but that sounds like a good, thought process,
Yeah,
that it's according to when Board of Finance does officers of all.
Yeah,
yeah. So, so the only ex officio member is Donna as business manager, so,
Okay,
um,
that's a big.
so
board,
anyway,
isn't it?
so that's where, so that just means that you should ask the 2 that are
hey
expired.
Jen, do you wanna be reappointed?
If you'll have me.
Oh,
I think you should be,
I think so.
I think you should be.
And then
and then
Melissa.
Melissa, would you like to be reappointed?
Yes, please. I actually just sent you an email today about it.
Awesome.
Oh,
And
wow.
to you,
So-
Christina.
There you go.
I haven't seen it yet. If you send it after 3:45, I didn't see it.
What
Yeah,
is
I
it?
did. Just asking how that noticed that my appointment expired December 1st, and I wanted to know how I could go about being reappointed.
Yeah. So, and then I think I copied everybody back like a month or 2 ago when there was talk of appointing someone to CIP. And, there were a whole bunch of questions that I was suggesting that you ask of anyone who wants to be on the CIP committee. Do you remember that?
No, but
It was the last time you had a nomination on your
All right.
selectmen
yes,
agenda.
yes,
And that was sort of like, questions that,
yes.
Yeah,
Send that back to me because that turned out to,
yeah,
there's stuff.
cause that was good.
yeah,
Can you put that on the, I think I could find it, but if
yeah,
you're gonna send it to him, can you CC us?
yeah, yep. Because, I mean, it would be great to have, a couple more people on the board who just have some history with this stuff and understanding of how it all works, so at least we have that part, covered. And maybe even if they represent some of the big boards in town, that would be great.
Yes.
So, but luckily we have Jen from the school board, which is a big one. And we have Stu Cobb, who's kind of represents at least one fire department.
Yeah.
What are we missing?
I tried to recruit from the other fire department, got stonewalled.
Oh,
They
I know,
wanted-
it sounds like library.
well, yeah, the library would be Karen Ann. I think when I do write back to Karen Ann, I'll suggest that someone from the library be on this board.
Hmm.
Because,
Okay.
or, well, they
No,
have a lot of requests coming.
Is that significantly more than other entities though? As far as requesters go?
I mean, it'd be cool to have someone from economic development or planning and zoning or those people too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think so too.
yep. So,
I'm gonna continue to throw out the notion that it would be also helpful to have people with capital planning experience, if there are any that exist in town.
yep. And construction experience.
Yep.
They're out there. They're out
Yes.
there.
I went through that with the fire department building committee, is finding people with construction experience. I found two, so I was pretty happy.
Yeah. The hard thing about getting anybody to join any of these things is that it takes a while to get up to speed on what we're even talking about with some of these projects. And then, once we get a plan together, it never ends up being what we want. Which is okay as part of the process, is that we put forward something and it goes through a couple of other levels and then, but I think people get discouraged by that, because it's not cut and dry like a business. So,
Well, and it's different than in really any other board because it's an advisory board, really.
yeah,
So, but the work's intensive and kind of front loaded. So
Yeah.
we don't have much time to react to appointments if we want to give them the chance of getting in when we start meeting weekly or whatever we're gonna do.
yeah. So I guess we should,
Can we advertise and stuff?
That was the exact thought that just crossed my mind, Melissa. I think if we put it on the website at the very least.
yeah,
E-blasts, maybe?
yeah, I can try to, from that letter that I sent you, that had like a lot of those qualifications in
That's a
it,
good idea.
I'll try to break that down into like a blurb that you
Yeah.
can send out,
So,
a blurb,
And then maybe the skill sets we're kind of looking for, because given what we already have.
yeah. Yes,
It's good.
yeah, so maybe we'll get some new blood, with new eyes and new perspectives and understanding of where we're at.
So we have two vacancies that are open until 2026, right? Or does the clock start? No, it's
No.
because Karen Ann's
They
is
were
filling a
filling the
vacancy.
Yeah,
So
they
it'd be a
filled-
1-year appointment.
Yeah.
Or probably 2-year appointment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2-year appointment until,
right.
Yep.
Okay,
So, all right, and then once we have all these people seated in December is when we do selection of officers. So I feel like this is, I don't think I can handle being chair, honestly. Anymore. I'm just so busy with work. I'm like buried and, I also don't know that I can keep up with all this stuff. So,
With that
Uh,
said, I am interested in stepping up, Christina, if need be. I know I am up to speed, be willing to
Mhm.
take on the task. So,
well,
yeah,
we'll,
interested at any rate, if you're looking to get out.
okay. Yeah, it's, just, well,
Thanks,
it's
Jim.
tricky. Yeah, thanks. So we'll see. But we'll put that on the agenda for December. And before we go any further, I want to confirm when we're meeting in December. Because I believe we're supposed to meet. We don't have a regular monthly meeting time.
I had the 11th of December in my calendar from discussed a few months back.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So
I
that's the,
don't know. I don't know if that tracks with everybody else, but
I'm
yeah,
just gonna see if I have that.
Would you say December 11th?
yeah, Wednesday, December 11th.
I do have that too, but I know that's HMS concert or chorus or band that night.
Yes, that was announced. You're right.
That evening. It depends on what the doctor tells me that afternoon.
Oh.
I'll be here or not.
oh,
You have an appointment then?
I have some health issues that just brought up, so that I'm dealing with.
sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
So is that bad? Is a concert, that affects quite a few of you, right?
Hey,
Sure, one of my kids is in something that's happening,
Don't you have a kid in every grade
pretty much.
between you and Mike? Just cover the whole spectrum.
They've got their own school
Unfortunately,
board.
now only in Hall and EO,
Oh,
they're not in all three.
great. Wow.
Yeah.
Look at you.
I
little blessings.
consolidating.
So what is the timing of that event,
Well,
that concert? Is it 7 or
6 o'clock.
6?
Okay,
Okay,
did we want to have a larger discussion, Jen? I know Board of Ed has some meetings for
Yes,
budget season that conflict with this. I know Karen Ann, although it might be a moot
yes, not
point,
for
also had Wednesdays, but
not for December, but definitely, I have the schedule in front of me for the BOE budget workshops, I just wanna make sure.
yeah, so when are all of those?
They're Wednesdays, at 6, or at 5:30. I think Bill said it could be 5:30 or 6. So January 15th, 22nd, 29th.
I'm just kind of hoping, I mean, having said that, CIP always had pretty regular meetings and they were pretty well attended on Wednesdays in the past until SBC happened for 3 years and then that knocked that time slot out. And it is true, we're intensive for a certain piece of the year where we're meeting weekly. How long do we do that for? It used to be, it started right around the week after Christmas and went through January and February? Or January into,
I think it's January into February,
Yeah.
but also Board of Finance is doing the same thing, so it just feels
yeah,
like we're all.
it feels like a lot if you're on both, yeah.
Yeah, but,
But it would be good if we could sort of get back into prime time for that period of time where more people might be interested in the nature of the work we're doing than, I don't know.
For these 3 meetings, we talked about 5:30 being a viable option, so if we did 5:30 for BOE, budget workshops, I could be here for whatever time, like if we do ours at 7 or whatever, I could be here for that.
Do you think those meetings are only gonna go an hour and a half?
Sometimes. I guess I'll just have to excuse myself. I don't know what else to do.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Does it have to
concert,
be
the concert
Wednesdays?
night's the 11th anyway, so we would have to pick another date, right?
Yeah,
Like the 18th?
yeah. How does the 18th look for everybody?
18th, oh, of no,
Of December.
December.
I was in the wrong one, sorry. 18th looks real good to me.
Okay,
I can do it.
Good for me.
okay.
What
I
time?
can do it too.
You wanna do 5:30 for that one?
Yes.
And then, so from there, we'll do the officers and we will approve our calendar. Which I will sync up with Donna about, make sure that we follow. Like what it usually is, I guess. I don't think the Board of Finance is gonna change anything. I know we talked, that there were suggestions to do that,
To change what?
just to change the order of how we, so.
How they ask people for their budgets, we're gonna start with the big. Finance has traditionally put the big budgets last because those people take the longest time to put their budgets together.
Right.
But we were thinking about putting the big budgets first so they'd have plenty of time to talk about them. So the people with the big budgets are gonna have to hustle. That being the Board of Ed and
Yeah, I just don't see it happening.
Well, also that, yeah,
I'm not sure I see it happening either.
being earlier in the season would, I think that the thinking behind it would maybe spawn more public interest and feedback and, kind of have the particulars known, but it's changing years of process, and my feeling is the process kind of came about for a reason.
Yeah,
Those are the two huge ones that are kind of hard to push too early.
Yeah,
Because you guys have a lot of work putting together the selectmen budget and the BOE
I've already
budget, there's a
started
lot of
talking to
process.
Donna about it and it looks like it's gonna be a pain.
What do you guys,
I mean, we missed the window this year already, quite frankly, but I do think there would be an advantage to kind of mobilizing this process for CIP earlier than we do. Getting people thinking about it earlier and getting it out of the crunch of budget season, allowing more time for data collection essentially from the various requests. Because, we're going to get requests that have no backup or that need additional back and forth or further analysis, et cetera. I'd love to see CIP kind of taken out of that budget crunch to a certain degree. I think it would also help you, Pete, because line items that show up in your budget,
Yep.
would be advantageous to know. It's just a matter of playing around the holidays.
it feels like we made a giant leap toward that already this year, though, because we've been meeting in the off season quite a bit more than we used to.
yeah, we just have
To talk about the processes and ask people to show up to give us up to, looking 10 years out instead of 5 years out and all that.
Yeah, it's just, we don't have the stuff in front of us yet to look at and say, okay, it's this amount.
Yeah, it would be nice to see those requests come in a little earlier rather than January 15th or whatever that date is. So we could be more proactive rather than reactionary.
Maybe it's a good to talk about that time frame, if not tonight, the next meeting, but to put that word out a whole year early that next year we're going to be asking for CIP submissions in mid-September or October or whatever, fill in the blank that we think is the best timing. So maybe
Didn't we ask, sorry, Steph, didn't we ask for that already for this year to have them early?
We kind of did, so we sent out a survey that it was very, very top level and asking them to look out like 10 years of what the big things will be. So it's just very, very top level but only 4 people have filled it out so far.
But in that part of that, I think was nudged by the fact that we got a little bit of a surprise with the Boy Scout Hall and the needs for that. I think Pete was surprised by it, and you know, then if we knew if some of the groups that might ask for CIP money could sort of say, hey, you know, not right now, but 10 years down the road, we are definitely gonna need to do the facade or whatever the fill in the blank is.
Well, there's a follow-up to that too, right? You know, as groups, and the library comes to mind for the, you know, gutter repair project that's sitting on ARPA right now, right?
Right.
And it would, I think it could be very advantageous to have the CIP committee, you know, kind of help guide that over the off season to help them, you know, get to the point, or so that we have effective and productive submissions that we can actually evaluate comprehensively. You know, and if that's just directing them to the right resources well in advance of the project submission season, I think that could go a long way just in and of itself. So, you know, I think again, it's, if we can shift the schedule as a future conversation a little ahead of the game, but also, you know, work towards procedures and processes so that people have a way to reach out, and identify projects and develop projects that may be conceptual earlier on. I think it would make the whole process more streamlined during crunch time.
If we're talking about, I guess I just want to bring this up because it's sort of been a long-standing concern of the towns, I think, and the townspeople who usually come to the meetings on Zoom or in person. And that is the 5:30 time. Part of me is like, that works for me, but I'm, you know, a mostly retired person. That works for other people, you know, to slip in on nights when there's other meetings or other obligations. But is it the best as far as particularly the high season when we're really talking about a lot of town projects to do 5:30 meetings that not that many people can participate in if they are interested in the CIP process?
I mean, the 5:30 slot, to be honest with you, is a little brutal for me with 2 kids and dinner time, and just it's a little brutal on my end personally, just with 2 kids and dinner time, and you know.
I thought maybe I was the only one that thought maybe we should revisit that as a habit anyway.
Yeah, well, and it
But I'm
sounds like
open.
Brad's gonna be doing 5:30, so 7 sounds good to me.
Is
Yeah,
that better?
That works for me. If it works for the rest of the group that's here.
7 works for me as long as we're out of here in 2 hours, because after 9, I fade real bad.
Yeah, yeah. In general, that's a good rule.
Well,
Uh,
yes. Right, Jen? Weren't you there for 4 hours last night?
Yeah,
Oh, no.
Board of Ed's last
in this
4
very
hours.
seat.
Oh, my God.
Oh, gosh, well, we can change our seat.
Yes. Yeah,
It's just that, huh?
that's it.
Oh, good, I'm glad we got that
I
resolved.
said someone's gonna have to feed me during those meetings.
So on the 18th, could folks do 7, or is that dicey in the Christmas season? Holiday
Doesn't make
season.
a difference to me.
It's fine by me.
Fine by me.
Oh, my phone keeps going back to November. Yeah, it doesn't matter to me.
Jen, what do you think?
I'm not gonna be the stinker. 7 is fine.
All right, let's move it to 7.
Feel like I made that a problem for you.
No, I'm just a big baby. I wanna sit home on my couch at 7 o'clock.
Well, you can zoom in.
You can zoom in. Since it's nice to see you in person.
Okay, so the next meeting is December 18th at 7 PM. And then I'm gonna talk to Donna and figure out what she's got for a budget outline. Try to move things up a little bit so that we are looking at this stuff sooner.
Mhm.
Can I just ask a question about going forward? I wonder, I know it's not on the agenda, but I'm assuming it's housekeeping, so we could probably talk about it anyway, the schedule, like for January. I just wanna make sure, cause we just had our BOE meeting last night, and I wanna make sure that there's not a conflict if we had those Wednesdays in January. If we met at 7 and BOE was at 5:30.
Yeah,
Conflict as far as you being in two places or?
No
needing space or-
conflict, just about, I just wanna make sure that there is no conflict, like if. Cause if we
Can I-
don't, things will get
right,
scheduled.
yes.
Can I just ask the silly question about Zoom access and recording, Pete, and having two meetings on the same day that might be sharing web, as has happened?
3 meetings at the same time.
All right. We just gotta find space.
What happened that day was that so we have 3 Zoom accounts and you can have one meeting on each Zoom account and she scheduled 2 meetings for the same Zoom account at the same time. You can't do that.
Okay,
That's what happened there is one of the meetings moved and they had,
oh, okay.
they traditionally were on one and so they kept the same Zoom thing. So we're trying to keep better track of that, but as meeting season picks up, it becomes more and more of a nightmare.
Yeah,
Plus
Well,
the
here's
day. In person.
I know.
So are we
God,
talking,
Don't say that.
are
Well,
we talking
here's,
conceivably the 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th? Are we meeting every week starting
I think so.
then?
I think so.
can we, since we're on Wednesdays, can we ask a larger question? If the Board of Ed budget workshops are on the same day, we're gonna be in a different space. Is the upstairs available 7 p.m.s on
Yeah.
Wednesdays?
Believe so unless the Cub Scouts are meeting. And then
Yeah.
what we can do is we can even go, geez, is there a third space? I don't think we have a third space right now,
Oh, town
unfortunately,
hall.
so. We're gonna move the Cub Scouts over to the Cub Scout Hall or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Are we fixing whatever is ailing it over there? Cause that's what.
We're
needs to-
trying to, yeah, the front doors have rotted all the way through. I mean, and the frames that are holding them on are iffy at best. And right now, I'm kind of surprised the windows are still in place.
Tim, did you say you do have conflicts on, okay, in January on those dates?
Can you go again with those numbers, Steph?
The 8th. And,
All 4 Wednesdays in
yes,
January?
yes, so it'd be the 8th, the 15th, the 22nd, and the 29th.
At 7. Yes?
Yes,
8, 15, 22, 29, and 7. All right,
all right.
and then do we wanna go into February
Well,
or not?
I think it will be helpful for us in December if we see what the Board of Finance's schedule is and what we see Board of Ed's is. And we have an idea that we're gonna be on Wednesdays too, but maybe that's not good. I don't know.
we have to check and make sure it fits in with the overall meeting puzzle at
Yeah,
in the scheduling
but
office.
I think if we say like Wednesdays at 7 is the general idea, I think
Mhm.
that's a good thing to pencil in. It just might be that, Board of Ed is presenting to the Board of Finance on the 16th, so we might not want them to have to come to us on the 15th.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. So, okay. I mean, I also think that what we tend to do is have, like, the Board of Ed will present to the Board of Finance their operating budget, and then they present to us their CIP budget. And then CIP gets presented to the Board of Finance separately, but I think the Board of Ed should also, and I'm just using that as an example, all boards should also, when they give their operating budget presentation, they should also talk about what their CIP submissions
Mhm.
are. The problem is, we don't always know which things have made it into the plan at that point, but I think it's just good for everybody to understand all of these things. Because they don't exist in a vacuum, so. We're trying to organize it into a vacuum, into the vacuum, I think, but
Put everything in its proper silo.
But I mean, basically what it's coming down to is these are bond payments and the bond payments are gonna come out of operating budget. Out of your operating budget,
Oh, good.
yeah. So that's just how it
Looks
is.
like the town's spending a lot of money.
Yeah. So, so yeah, all right. So stay tuned on that, but that's what we'll talk about in December. And anything else about board member terms, positions, or dates going forward? No?
Might be nice to identify a vice chair or whatever, just in case of absence. You know, when we do go through that process.
Yep. Yeah. We don't have one now. I don't know why.
We don't, that's why I asked, because I know we had a couple where you were on
Yeah.
vacation and we had to figure out who was filling in. I think they were just ease for communication.
Yep.
Would you be interested in, or would you be able to do the backup of it,
Yeah, I could do that.
since you kind of know the,
Mhm. Oh, yeah, I know. The routine. Okay, approval of minutes. So the last meeting that we had was July 17th.
I move we approve.
second,
Is there any discussion about the minutes? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
I,
All right.
I,
Right, so that's something we have to vote on. Now, the CIP survey to funding requesters. I sent that out and I was
Did
trying to figure out a way to send it to you all to see it.
Oh, I just got to stop playing with that mouse. I noticed the screen flickering. I go, oh, that's me.
And I think I figured out that the easiest thing to do is, like, print it as a PDF with each person's submissions. But it's not a lot, there, you know, it's very high level, so then I was trying to figure out how to do it in just an Excel spreadsheet. And then at some point I got frustrated and thought, there's only 4 submissions, it's kind of silly to try to go through all this trouble.
Wasn't
So-
it a questionnaire?
What they are.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna open it up and tell you what they are. Where is it? Funding. Okay. So the first one was from Mike D'Amato for planning and zoning. And he talked about the P O C D and how that's on a 10-year recurring basis, that we're gonna need one in 2028, so in the next couple of years, we're gonna need to get the funding together for that. That I think we knew about, I think that was on our radar,
How much does that cost? Just in,
like $50,000,
okay.
yeah. The next one was from Kathy Demers for the Conservation Commission, and they're trying, to see below under non-urgent request. So they're gonna continue to request $30,000 annually for the open space fund and just for land purchases. Which I think, you know, they've been in a good place for.
They're coming to the Board of Selectmen soon to, our Board of Finance soon to ask for money for the TEDx property.
Oh, they did already.
Oh, did they?
Yep, and the Board of Finance said yes.
Oh,
So they are coming to you soon to call a town meeting.
all right.
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna be able to call a town meeting for 2 things at once, actually save money.
what's the name on that property?
The Pettit,
PETIX, I think. It's part of the Fen Ruby,
Yeah, I know where it is, it's on, yeah.
and then walking out all the way to the end, so I had never seen it.
oh, I did it. It's actually kind of cool up there. I didn't know, I went and saw it. They're gonna have some cool trails,
Yes,
so,
and I think it's all in Willington, right? Or is?
yeah. It's all in
Because
Wellington, but it abuts
That's Ashford.
Ashford's Open
Yes.
Space Trail, so you can just keep
There's,
going.
there's part of the Fen Ruby, I think, that's actually owned by the town of Wellington, but it's in the town of Ashford.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Funky.
Oh,
Yeah. I'm
Another
sorry
New
how that works.
Englandism.
yeah. Yeah, I recommend walking all the way up there.
So what's
Um,
3 and 4?
3 and 4 is Wellington Fire Department 1. Their big goal is to complete the building project at Station 13 with the help of the Emergency Services Building Committee. And then they also said they need apparatus refurbishment for Squad 113 in 25-26. So that's good.
I think they finally found a frame,
For $150,000.
yeah, something like that.
That's what
And
it
then-
said, that's what it says
When
here.
did you say?
25-26 next week.
Okay, is that the ambulance they're talking about?
Yes,
Yeah,
the red ambulance, the frame and motor and cab, they're taking off and dropping the old box onto the back of that. Cause it saves them
That's-
several hundred
Is
thousand
that,
dollars.
that's the,
Red ambulance, the one that they owned originally. And I say all this with about 85% certainty.
We
When
already
you
have
say-
that one captured in the plan for what it's
yeah,
worth, for 225,000.
well, so okay, so this says Squad 113. I'm not sure that that's the
Oh,
ambulance.
no, Squad 113, I think it's the pickup.
Yeah, so
oh,
so that would be, it says approximately $150,000. And that's just a refurbishment. Then it says ambulance 613 replacement in 26-27 for $400,000. And then
Yep.
service 213 replacement for $55,000 in 27-28. And then the SCBA replacement in 29-30 with an unknown cost. So
And
ambulance is every 5 years. We
Was
never
that-
do every 5 years.
Is that
SCB
149? R149?
No, 149. None of them.
149 's the hill.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What number did you say unknown cost?
13 are all,
So
Wellington one.
Squad 113 is the first one. And
and
then
that's for 225?
for 25-26 for
Yeah, okay.
$150,000. And then the ambulance
Oh, 150.
is 613. And that's 26-27 for $400,000.
Yeah. But that's 400K with doing the chassis thing,
I think so, you know,
you know,
those
But we're not
numbers
discussing,
don't sound like the
let's
same
not
numbers.
get caught up in what it is. I'm just reporting out what it is,
Mhm.
because we're not,
okay.
we're not gonna.
We'll have
So-
Alex here to answer those questions.
Yeah,
So that's several items, but that's one entity, so there's also a fourth request from someone? Or is that,
oh, sorry, yeah, then the next one was from Troy, Public Works.
okay?
So,
Good.
yeah, here we go. Okay, actively and plan and save funds for fleet equipment replacement purchases according to the previously submitted fleet equipment replacement schedule. Secure funding and start and finish road construction projects that have been needed for decades, i.e. Liska Road Bridge, Village Hill Road, and Schofield Road drainage. Secure funding, start finish necessary department projects, i.e. salt shed, waste oil separators at the transfer station to comply with MS4, the roof repair replacement, evaluate DPW garage and department land use for growth of equipment, storage, maintenance, materials, etc. So, I mean, that is what we asked for, is just like,
Yes.
what's
What was
sort of
that
the big-
last one, land replacement?
Evaluate DPW garage and department land use for growth of equipment. So, for storage reasons, maintenance and materials.
I think that the planning for, Village Hill and
Schofield.
Schofield, thank you. That might be moving out of the, hopefully moving it up, but what we need is money for planning.
Right,
For years, we've been trying to come up with the money to do the whole project.
Mhm.
And I think we break the project down into parts that the town can, smaller bites that the town can actually swallow,
Yeah,
that might be better. The thing is that we did get a fair amount of state funding to do a lot of work, but we have to have the planning in place first. And luckily the state's not really pressuring us on time, but we do have to come up with some money to get the plans written up, and I don't know, I don't even begin to guess how much that is, but
it's a lot.
it sounded like it was gonna be about an order of magnitude larger than I thought.
Yeah, I talked to Troy about that.
Can I just ask a question about
Sure.
that process? So if you break it into, say, 3 big parts or 4 big parts,
Mm-hmm.
does one of those qualify for the spending of the state money so far committed?
Yes,
Okay, so it doesn't have to be, oh, that's the commitment for the whole
no,
thing.
no, I asked that very
Okay.
specific question when we went over it with the state, because way I said, my feeling on the matter, looking at big pictures, water runs downhill. So you can't start at the top of the hill because you have no place to put the water, so you have to start at the bottom of the hill and then work your way up. Step 1 is planning, step 2 is finding a place to put the water, step 3 is starting to put the pipes in to bring the water down to your drain, and then build up the hill as you can afford it. And that would at least drain some of it.
Mhm.
I think, so it's, the 4 parts are 1 planning, 2 Schofield, 3 the bottom of Village Hill, 4 the top of Village Hill. Those are the 4 big chunks as I saw it. And, step 1 planning has gotta come first, apparently.
Mhm. Yeah. Makes
Um,
sense.
Pete, there was no match requirement, right? That's just committed money. Perfect.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But the thing is that we have to have the plan before we can start using their money for that. And we have to use the bid process for the planning, and
Yeah,
it's the job, and
So who's putting together that RFP? Is that something Troy's working on through DPW?
and putting it together.
And would that be, even though it would be in sections, would that be the same bit? I mean,
We'd
would
have
that
to pay for the
hopefully have a
planning.
segue?
The town would pay for the planning part, and then the state would pay for parts 2, which is Schofield, and maybe part 3, which is the bottom of Village Hill. And then the town would have to come up with the top of Village Hill later on, but seeing as how we've been doing it for 30 years.
Mhm.
It definitely sounds more reasonable and actually getting something done. Feeling the progress of it,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah,
But I'm just
that's-
worried about the follow through.
Yes,
As far as
well,
a planner for each segment would be sort of a headache.
well,
it would seem to me.
plan at the beginning would cover the whole thing, and so all you have to do is say, here's where we've gotten to on the plan, just keep, go to step
And
6.
that's exactly what we did with Turnpike Road.
Yeah,
You know, we had different, I think we had 3 phases,
yeah,
but, and we used steep grants for phase 2 and phase 3, but.
and the other big project, now that I'm asking for money, is animal control is turning into an issue statewide. The Department of Agriculture has just revamped all their requirements for animal control facilities. So I had a meeting yesterday with Catherine Silversmith over in Ashford, and Brian in Tolland, and Bill in Stafford. And just before we planned the meeting, we all got an email from Ryan in Mansfield going, "Hey, would you like to regionalize?" And I said, "Funny you should ask." So Prague is helping us plan that. And so, because it's a regional project, and we're reaching out hopefully to our state reps to see if there's state money to help us with this, because.
Cause my understanding is Tolland's ready to move, right?
Yes, yeah,
So
but
we would have to
we're
sort of,
slowing them up a little bit and trying to get Stafford involved too, because that way we will save a lot of money on ACO costs, because that way not everybody has to have 4 ACOs. We could go 4 for the whole region or something.
Mhm. That sounds great.
Yeah, that's done good.
And Collins, Ashford's in exactly the same position we're in, where they can't use their facility and they don't have their ACOs part-time or on staff. Same one as we use.
Oh,
And could I just go back to fire department one on the building project? What building project are we talking about there?
well, I think they're just
And the
saying they need,
department for the one that, or figuring out what's going on with the building committee down there on River Road.
So, okay, so for the main station,
Yes.
okay? Cause,
It's still
Alright.
hypotheticals at this point. Staff, they're not far enough along
Yeah.
to know what they're doing yet, so. We're doing that. The board's gonna wind up, this committee is gonna wind up working on still playing in hypotheticals for the major projects. For this year's plan.
I don't remember, how much did we put aside for the fire department?
11.5 it's 11.5.
he's talking about
But
the
did we-
original,
Did we put a bond
Combined
payment
11.5
place marker in?
million.
We didn't, right?
No,
No, but there's,
Yeah, we had it. Let me go back to the original data. Hold on.
like in theory,
We were showing that hitting 26, 27 currently for the bond payment, the
mhm,
bond and the bond payment. Carrying a $950,000 bond payment. On
100
11.5, 950,000.
okay. But that was for the school too.
No, that was just for the fire departments.
Okay.
We had a $12 million bond for the school and there was $1 million bond payment captured for that.
Mm.
Neither of which are gonna be valid, so again, it's.
Right.
Yeah, it's hypotheticals.
Okay. Well, I will send another email to everybody else.
and I'll try to get something in this time. I apologize profusely.
I mean, you have a lot of things to write down
Courteous.
about.
Yes.
There's like a lot of random things.
Oh shit, do I have random shit?
Yeah,
Things, project, random project.
projects.
yeah. Yeah,
You're
I
so-
mean, like, just like simple things like fences around things. In 10 years
Draining the water off the roof. That project's gonna get done tomorrow.
on this roof,
Yeah, they're cutting a ditch across the parking lot to drain the water so it doesn't flow back into the basement down there.
wow.
Who's they?
Public Works, we're doing it on there.
Okay. Do we have like, engineering on that project?
Yeah. They looked at it, said, water flows downhill right away.
No, is it that simple? I
Yes,
just want.
no, it's that simple.
That's how long has this problem been with us, you know? Is it really that simple?
It's really that simple and the project's been with us for a really long time.
So both
Because-
things are true.
Both things are true, yes.
Hi, Stu.
Finally, I've had a fire.
Yeah.
I heard, you had a very good excuse.
Down the road? Is it out?
Yeah,
Okay, good, because.
we wouldn't have left if it was still going.
No, both companies went?
Oh, yeah, and a couple of mutual aid tankers.
Oh,
Oh, it was just a brush fire?
Yeah, but this time of year with this, and this year.
And yeah, this year how dry it is.
It's really, really dry. You have to turn over every log and stick and,
Hmm.
did, Mike Caplet get ahold of you so that he doesn't call me? He's tracking every single one of these brush
Oh,
fires in
oh.
Connecticut, and if he doesn't
yeah,
get
he
ahold
called
of
me
you,
the
then he
other
calls
day.
me.
He did not call me today.
Okay. He'll call you about this fire, cause he called me about the one where the tractor blew up.
Yep, yeah, he called me on that one too.
Alright,
Stu, just FYI, we decided to, meet on December 18th at 7 o'clock to sort of start the CI for our next meeting,
Mhm.
but then after that, to meet in the 4 Wednesdays in January. Get those on our calendar as the intensive month,
Mhm.
at 7 o'clock. So I just wanted to
Yeah.
tell
Have
you
the
that.
request gone out to the departments yet to get your stuff?
I don't know, Donna usually does that,
Yeah.
like right around now, so,
I think last year we were trying to get an early start, but the
Yeah.
request didn't go out to, I think, the end of December.
yeah. So I have it on my list to talk to her tomorrow.
Mhm.
Get it out there. Get it going. All right, well, does anybody have anything? Oh, sorry, there's one more. Oh, no, there isn't one more. All right, Troy's was the last one. I was reading the submissions for the 10-year plan, so.
Did you just print a PDF and distribute those,
Yeah,
Christina?
I'm gonna,
Because I don't feel like I caught half the numbers
yeah,
for the fire department.
yeah, and it's, I think I'm just gonna print the Excel spreadsheet. I'll just send you guys the Excel spreadsheet. Would that be better?
Yeah.
Then you can manipulate it how you want.
Oh, you mean you plugged them into the master?
I'll just download this as an Excel
Yeah,
spreadsheet, and
perfect.
then you can see it. And copy and paste. And we don't have anyone here present to speak unless anybody on the board wants to present to speak.
Do we need to talk about the letter that Phil sent?
Oh, yeah, I sent that to you guys around 5 o'clock, so you probably
Oh,
didn't see it
I
yet.
haven't seen it yet, then
Yeah, I didn't even read it myself.
Do
I
you want,
passed out at 4:30.
The
do you
sum
want
up,
to give us a
Yeah, Jen,
recap?
the sum up, the last sentence is basically saying the Board of Ed is requesting the CIP committee to fund their projects at the same level that was approved for 24-25. The funding can be used to cover bonding costs for whatever direction is decided in the future. There's other stuff in there, like talking about the QA&M study and stuff, but
so,
we had an extensive conversation about how we garner public participation, and unfortunately, the conclusion that we came to was that we just really are not sure how to get public participation. So,
I think that's been a discussion for at least 40 years, hasn't it?
mhm.
Circumstances
well,
have
the
even
public
gotten tougher.
participation doesn't happen until it does, and then when it does, we're like, but we asked you guys.
Right.
That was a very polite way of putting that, Jen.
That's what I do.
There was a good comment last night, you know, you put a project forward and then you're gonna get all the participation you want one way or the other. So,
Or have a trunk or treat.
Yeah, that was my idea.
There you go.
Everyone will come.
Boy, yeah, I'm dressed up.
I mean, maybe it's just the free candy.
Could be.
If they come, I'll bring
That could do it.
Good. It's pizza even, wow,
Yeah.
imagine.
Talked to Jeff down at William Tuesday. Hey, can you come in here with 150 pizzas? We want to protect public participation.
So I'm not sure that this is a today conversation, this letter, but it was like a placeholder, basically, just to make sure that.
Mhm.
Well,
You.
yeah, thanks for telling me it's there so I can, I'll deal with that tomorrow.
I mean, I almost feel like we should increase what the
Yeah,
placeholder.
I do think so too.
I mean, it's not gonna be less.
well, I
Whatever's
mean,
decided, it's not gonna be less.
we had the plan from this most recent year did cut the funding to the schools in half, and advanced it in other locations. So it is something to discuss, but I mean, Jen, long story short, nothing's really changed, right? You know, you still have a nebulous high bond project out there. We still need to
Yes.
plan for it, and hopefully manage the impact. So increasing funding towards it, you know, similar to the shock absorber is really in my opinion, a decent way to go. You know, the plan with these is to mitigate as much of a high impact year as possible. Knowing that some projects coming, so.
Yeah.
Could I just ask sort of in general, did folks feel that there was some kind of form taking place after the QA&M public event and the feedback from that? Did people feel like something's emerging that you can, I mean, because I felt like I wasn't really sure there's so much information, so much changing context, presumptions that were questioned. I didn't know what to, as a citizen, know if I'm reading the tea leaves correctly, or if there's any sort of path that's emerging there.
I wasn't at the presentation, so I'm not sure exactly what the tenor of that discussion was, but, I think that kind of end result is we have this study that spells out word for word, what exactly both schools need in order to be functional for the kids, and, we're having a hard time. Like, the money is a moving target because it depends on the reimbursement and the numbers that we have to provide for folks moves, because necessarily that's what happens. So presenting a project like this is really challenging. We had people sitting in, our meeting last night who suggested that the reason they didn't vote for the school is because there was all different kinds of numbers. I'm paraphrasing, but
Yeah,
different numbers, and they weren't really sure what the numbers were, and that's just going to happen by nature of the project, so I don't know. I probably didn't.
yeah, you're getting there. I feel,
I was at the meeting, and
I was too.
the demographic that was there, the Board of Ed had good representation, there was a bunch of people from there.
Yeah, there was that.
There was, the usual folks that you see at a lot of meetings that are pretty, they may have varying opinions, but they're pretty up to date in terms of what the situation is. And then there was the vocal few that, what do you mean, this is a lot of money, and, what, and why didn't you buy a roof yet? We told you to buy a roof years ago, and you haven't done it.
Yeah,
And if they followed the whole, process over the last few years, they would know.
and they know.
But they don't, but it's a representation of what the voters that you'll run into will feel that way as well.
But the real big missing factor to that, I felt like, was, and I tried to raise that point there, is there's nothing whatsoever that addresses education specs. It's strictly repairs.
Yes.
So I don't know if that's the confines that everyone, I understand that you would have to do that to capture the data that we captured, but does that capture what the only plan is? Like what the town feels is enough for upgrading the schools? You know what I'm saying?
And I suspect 100,
Like the education kind of part of it doesn't.
and I don't think 100% of the CIP projects for the schools is in that QA&M report. That's a, like, major maintenance thing to preserve the building. But, some of the other stuff that they've done occasionally for, with CIP money isn't represented in there also. It's not your CIP request, you can go to zero.
Uh-huh,
That's simply doing the big stuff on that building. or
Right,
two
right.
buildings.
right.
I'll throw out a different perspective on this, just to be argumentative, but for point of order, it almost doesn't matter what the project is. The order of magnitude for all of the options is all aligned in a similar high level target, right? We're talking about renovations that cost northward of 30 million. We're talking about a new building that costs northward of 30 million. Interim repairs don't solve the problem. We can manage it gradually, but it's going to cost more. It's going to be a longer period. For this committee's need, it's, the prioritization is almost how do we manage what's the larger plan for funding a project of magnitude here, and how do we blunt the impact? Again, getting back to, we don't need a 6 mil bond hit in a single year. How do we mitigate that? And that involves planning and setting us up to manage that process. And that involves starting now, can we increase funding to blunt the hurt down the road? Because something's coming of a significant scale. And it honestly, for our purposes and from a larger planning perspective, it really doesn't matter whether that's a renovation or a new building or a phase renovation, because the need is there regardless.
So
And
you're
the Board of Ed will eventually come up with the plan that they put forth, right? And we can adapt that accordingly, but we're still, from a large, big picture planning perspective, we're looking at a high level need. That's going to come in some form or fashion.
Well, I
You
think that was the point in the letter, though, the end result is basically it, at minimum, please keep the funding as it is. And it didn't necessarily specify what,
What the
what
plan-
project was targeted.
Yep.
We don't know.
I feel like it's the same story with the fire department, like.
Yep.
We don't know what it is, we just know it's gonna be a lot.
Yeah.
And I like. We should, with both of these cases, it would be great if we had an actual number and we knew what it was, but.
Yeah, yes, it would.
I think. I think we'll try that, but I think that we're gonna have an estimate either way in both cases, and
So
it'll
we're,
probably be lower than what we need in both cases.
The reality,
So-
we're gonna plan for it in either option. Sorry, Steph, I'll shut up and let you talk if you want. It's hard to jump in remotely.
I think what you're suggesting is we focus at the big money, the big hit, the big problem ahead of us, and how we, as CIP, how we would incorporate that in a plan and get to that as a town, whatever X is. We don't know the X in the formula yet.
Yeah, and we're never gonna predict it accurately, but the long story short is we know there's a magnitude of need out there that's significant. And we're not gonna get there. We're not there at current levels of spending. We're nowhere near it. And I'm not saying we're going to get there all at once. I'm not saying we're going to be perfect, but we need to start planning for it now because those expenses are coming. And every year we put it off or starting to accrue a better funded nest egg. It's only delaying the inevitable, and it's going to make the hurt that much worse when it actually hits for the taxpayer. Everything we can do to start chipping away at the bigger financial commitment now is something we need to look at and get involvement from other boards and committees that I know Jen has been aggressively championing as well. So it's really something that needs to start happening. I'd love to see this committee kind of drive that discussion because I think it belongs here. But it's going to take other people's involvement.
In regards to the school projects, I think some of the taxpayers, I think everybody's frustration is in the 3-4 years that they've had some money nest egg aside, so to speak, nothing's been done. Nothing physically has improved at either one of the buildings. And if you could, if you had to spoon feed this to the taxpayers each year, we could say, okay, we're gonna replace the boiler for $100,000. That's what we're doing, this money, this coming year, it will be done, and it's not related to any of the other projects. I understand the roof and the ventilation are related, things like that, but isn't there something that can be done? That, the windows at Center School, talked about that for probably 10 years now in the upper wing. And not a single window's been replaced. With that nest egg money, can we at least fix the windows? Again, not related to the building, but at least you got something done out of the deal. You can show the taxpayers, where some of this money's going and what's been done with it.
Well, what happens then when you realize that the Board of Ed comes and realizes there's a larger project there, and now we've invested millions of dollars replacing windows just for the sake of showing progress, and then the taxpayer gets pretty pissed. I would, saying, why would we invest that money?
So we're going back to, are we gonna build a new school? That can be revisited. I think the taxpayers have spoken.
Well, honestly, I felt like their numbers were, Jim called it north of 30 million. I'm not sure that's what I heard when you were comparing the two options. One seemed to me to be significantly more than the other.
It is now, you're right, at least what I saw in the QA meeting.
Their data,
that,
yeah.
I think inflation is
Well,
gotten after that one.
I think too, there comes a point where, this is not the most popular opinion in the world, but there comes a point where fiscally, the number amorphous as they are, they're at least scaled to the same level. And it makes way more sense to have a conversation about building new versus renovating two old buildings. To not even, you talked about the ed specs, to not even fit the ed specs the way that they are presented. And as people who are charged with advising about money for the town and advising about education for the students, like, at some point, I'll speak personally, my responsibility to shout from the rooftops that this no longer makes sense. And it's hard to say that because you guys are right, the town spoke the last time we had a vote, but it's not do this, build this new school, or do nothing. There has to be a choice and there has to be a responsibility on the part of the town to educate our kids in a space that makes sense. And like, if people are gonna vote for nothing, then the folks who are responsible for these committees and these boards are gonna have to make decisions that are unpopular. And then we're gonna keep being in this cycle where no one participates in the meetings. Then we make these decisions that people think are yucky, and then they go to the town and vote no, and then we're right back to where we started again.
Mhm.
So I think that's the frustration, of course, but that's also, you know, the push to garner public participation. How do we get people to have a dialogue, not just that it's dumb, I'm not voting for it, but have a conversation about it and what people's feelings are. That I could talk all night.
No, that's good.
Yeah, those nights are coming.
I know.
Yeah, those, save
Those nights have
yourself.
already happened.
Move to adjourn?
Wow, that was abrupt.
Or do you have anything else?
I don't have anything else. No.
I think we should save our energies for
Yeah.
what's ahead.
Second.
Yeah. Jen seconded, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thanks for coming, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
Guys, good night.